Hi, it's Sheena from Be Seen, and I'm on an entrepreneurial journey to find out what it's like to be an entrepreneur in a startup. Today I'm speaking with Stacy N Henderson.
Hello.
And I'm really excited to share with you what I've just gone through over the past week. But first, Stacy, can you tell the audience who you are and what you do and why you do it?
Who I am, what I do, and why I do it. That's interesting. That sounds like a little picture that's on my wall over there. I started off as a pretty poor little kid I don't want to say I was a disadvantaged family. We were pretty poor and we got into lots of trouble. So I spent most of my life trying to sort that out and trying to understand how other people were just happy all the time, and I always felt like I needed more. I read a lot of books, and when I was 28, I did a course that basically gave me a kick in the pants, made me review the way I was living, and from that point on, I started designing my life. When I realized that I could actually design my future instead of just be a victim to my past, it really changed the way I saw things, so I started picking some pretty exciting stuff, and before I knew it, I started getting those things, and then it got to a point about 6 years ago where I had everything I wanted, and I realized it was time to help others get what they wanted.
So when you say design your life, what do you mean by design?
Yeah, good question. So what that means to me is actually not just thinking about it, but actually getting out a pen and paper, deliberately blocking off a piece of time and really crafting it and with a pen and paper, like designing it and thinking, okay, so if I had this, then have this, then this would be just amazing, and then I can have this kind of thing, and to really think about it with a pen and paper in hand, which a lot of people think about it when they're sitting on the bus or, waiting for a job interview or something like that, or I don't know what, but most people don't stop.
And write it.
And write it down, yeah. So that's what I mean.
Great. So I've recently just gone through your process. I didn't realize I needed to go through it, and I did, and it's been a life-changing event.
Yes.
Finding your micro niche.
Yes.
Where did that concept come from? And
perfect segue question. That's great. So here's the thing. When it comes to designing your life, a lot of people, especially in the environment that I create in the Life Design Workshop, they are given permission in an environment that promotes big thinking, and you're allowed to say big crazy dreams in that room, which is really powerful, because normally when people are stuck in a family or friends environment, if I wanted to be a circus performer and travel the world, it would be a little bit too much for me to say at the table, so I can't say it. But in that Life Design Workshop, it gives people permission to do it. So subsequently, they end up with these big, grand lives designed, right? And some of them are pretty awesome, and like the whole picture is very exciting, and they latch onto it and they're like, yes, I want that so much. The thing is, for most people to have, working 10 hours a week in tropical places, serving the people they love, and being a significant person in the community, which is the common elements of what a lot of people like to create. The reality is, to be that person, they need to have a specialist skill that they bring to the table so that they can earn more with less time and really know what they're talking about. So that is a micro niche. And so a consequence of running Life Design Workshops for so long is that I saw that the void that I left the people that I loved and served was that they didn't have the vehicle to create that. So the other thing was the money. So I have money systems, and then the micro niche. Those are the two things that enable people to actually achieve those wild dreams. Make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I didn't even know I needed a micro niche until I went through your process, and my whole life feels like it's been turned upside down.
Well, explain what happened? Like, what's the overall feeling, I suppose? Or not feeling, but what part of it was?
Well, first of all, for the audience, the process that Stacy put me through was that I had to answer 6 questions, and he said that it's going to take probably about an hour, and it took me about an hour and a half. I had to stop and regroup a couple of times because it was a real intense process. There are 6 questions, and they're general questions, but you have to list 3 examples of how you would answer that question. And it's not just 1 sentence, it's not just 2 sentences.
There's a minimum word count, yeah.
4 sentences. So you're writing, and you're using all of your brain power to write what it is that you're passionate about. At the end of the day, he focuses on pointing out the things that you're most passionate about.
I think the beauty of having the minimum character count is that people, if I say, oh, what are you passionate about? And the answer is dogs, then that leaves me with nothing to work with. If they say dogs, but they're forced to write, a paragraph, then usually the reason that dogs is in there, or the story behind it, or the other elements of it, the other components, or it also forces them to talk about Alsatians in the snow as opposed to just dogs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it puts it down.
That I think that's an exhausting process, but it's also a liberating process, because you get really worked up about what it is that you're passionate about. And at the end of the hour and a half, I was, first of all, exhausted, and I felt a bit lost. I felt like, here I am, so passionate about these 6 things that we just wrote about, and my career didn't match at all with what it is that I'm passionate about. So I was exhausted and feeling a bit lost and a bit frustrated. And then the next morning I woke up and I think I texted you and said, I think I'm on the wrong path.
Was.
It was, yeah.
And I dare to say that you could feel that was already the case, and you'd invested so much in it that it was difficult to say that perhaps that was the case. Because I believe that I actually proposed that you do that questionnaire, or at least it came up in conversation, because there was a little bit of doubt, and there was like this not enough. I think the key thing is to find where's the most exciting energy, where's the spark come from, and then find a way to get to that and to just follow the energy. And you had found that what you were pursuing, the energy had run out, right? And there was skills, talents, and the ability, but the passion wasn't there. And there's definitely, like, you have all the credentials to certainly fulfill what you were putting to market. It's just that it's about attracting the right people by being confident. Here's the trick to that questionnaire, right? It used to be a 4-hour mind map process, and it used to take hours and hours, and I would ask 1,000 questions, and always different. So I systemized it with the key stuff that I always used to ask people. But what the overall process is, by answering these questions, I convert my subjective story, this spaghetti story of who I am, I convert it into actual written words in a single place where you can go back and review them and be like, these are the things that are important to me. These are the top 3 things. And then it just, that word juxtapose, it really fits with this. If I was to write the keywords that came up, and then we literally got the pieces of paper or the keywords like a fridge magnet and just switched them around and made sentences, eventually a niche would come up.
Yeah.
And when I do the review, the after the survey, the questions that I ask is me in my mind is kind of like juxtaposing, okay, so this one, and then at the end we end up with this result. And I think anyone can do that.
And your result was seriously spot on.
Yes.
I mean, he brought up some ideas and some suggestions that I wouldn't have ever thought of. So
yeah, and I think one thing that's great is to get permission to be yourself. And that was something that really happened to me. And that when I was 28, when I did that course, I exposed all my secrets. I told a bunch of people everything about me, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the really ugly. And they were like, okay, great. We still love you, or now we love you more. And I was like, what? I can be myself? It was a massive,
yeah.
It was like, holy crap, really?
Yeah.
Is that how the world can work?
That was the first thing that you said to me, was that that I don't represent anything that I put in that form.
Interesting.
And you gave me permission to step up and, show up more authentically about the things that I'm passionate about, because like attracts like.
Okay, so in with that word authentic being brought up, how does that tie in with what you do as a service?
Well, my passion is to, I've obviously have a passion for people, and I obviously have a passion for their stories in business. And I knew that, I've known that for my whole life. But how do I put that into a service? Well, you suggested a few things, and I'm still working on it. It's a work in progress, but sure. I want to pull the stories out of people that are creating positive things in this world, and perhaps might be a little bit controversial.
Yeah, Yeah, did you just say that on camera? Cool. So that's the next phase, is to get really clear on that statement, you know, and to own it, and to be like, oh no, I have lived my life this way. These are the things. This is where I spend my spare time. This is where I spend my spare energy, my spare focus, is researching these things, following these people, being around this kind of community. And if my dream life was to come true, I would be going out to dinner with people as a social environment who represent, you know, these factors or these aspects of society. And what you see is important, and the voice that you want to amplify, because your service is about amplifying somebody. So if you, and I think this is the most exciting thing, and this is what I find with a lot of people, is that you have a magic skill, and whether it be Excel, or whether it be copywriting, whether it be plumbing or building driveways, if you have a beautiful magic skill that you have proven to be very good at, and you go and give it to, you've got 3 options, you know, you can choose company A, B, or C. If you give it to number A, and maybe you're working in a corporate job, and you're giving it to a big corporation whose values don't align with you, you are devoting the best offering you have to this universe, to this life, to a machine that is creating results that don't align with who you really are. And a huge portion of the world are doing that. The other option is, of course, to find someone where you do align, so you're not just doing a job and getting paid for it, but you're actually excited about the story, the change, and, you know, where your energy ends up. What's the footprint of it, you know?
Your legacy.
Yeah, the legacy, that really is the key word. It's like, when I die, regardless of whether you're an entrepreneur, a public speaker, a TV personality, or a receptionist, or somebody who works in a factory or in the storeroom, if you know that you were sending out the best and most environmentally friendly solar panels, and you were the forklift driver, you'd go home with pride, and you'd be proud that you worked in that role. And I think that it doesn't matter what level or what skill or anything it is, if people can really feel proud about where their magic skill is being devoted, I think that's the legacy.
Well, I'll have to say, again, it's been a monumental week for me, and I thank you very, very, very much for pointing this out and bringing this to my attention. For the audience who might not think that they need this, that do actually need it, are there certain trigger points that you look for in people that know, hey, that's the type of person that needs to get a micro niche evaluation, and we need to look at their life a little closer to see if they are truly happy?
Yeah, you know, I do think the stuff that I teach in my workshops, like I said right at the start, my life was a bit of a shambles, and there were 3 basic things that I needed to address for me to shine and to offer the best thing I could in the world. There was daily habits, right? Daily habits are huge. The money stuff, it's basic money systems are huge, and the niche and life design and like choosing your future. It is applicable. I believe it's applicable to everybody, and the ultimate goal for what I do would be for it to be common knowledge, to be something that people do on their birthday, just to review. Just like we do our tax returns every year, we might do a detox every year. We have a Christmas every year where we connect with our family and we rejig that, you know, we reboot that and all those sorts of things. Why not we do it for ourselves? Reassess, what's the past that I've built? What's the best application? And my favorite quote, are we going to wrap it up in a second? So my favorite quote that I wrote when I was on a journey in the forest one day, and I asked myself this question over and over and over: why am I here, Stacy? Why am I here? And I just kept asking myself that, and eventually something came to me. My purpose in life is to create as much joy as possible with the tools I have at hand. And I believe that's everybody's purpose. If they can see what are their tools, and then to create as much joy as possible. And it could be a forklift driver, and it could be the President of the United States. They're all the same. Cool.
Great. Thanks so much, Stacy.
It's an absolute pleasure.
How can they get in touch with you?
Well, smoke seagulls. No, POVAR.life. POVAR.life is probably the easiest way to go. So, a point of view, action, results. That's the name of the company. Because when I changed my point of view, I changed my actions, and I got different results. So, POVAR.life.
So did I. Thanks,
Correctamundo. Awesome.